Welcome back to Play the Game HQ. I'm Daniel, this is Allison, and these are our top 3 games from Gencon.
It was really hard to narrow them down, though. But we do have top
It was
ones.
difficult, and it was easy at the same time.
Well, yours is really easy.
Yeah,
you have one that...
I'm bringing 3 games to this list.
So I'm not bringing any?
You're bringing 3 games to this list. Mine was a real, the game I'm most excited about, I think
6? Because I only have a couple.
No, they're the same games.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, so 6?
One of them really stood out just because it's so unique and so well made for what it is. The other 2 stood out just because they're all great games.
They are.
Yes. And I think they really exemplify our taste in games, which is
all the games.
All the games.
All the games.
Our taste in games is all the games that are fun to play because these span the gamut of complexity, of weight.
There's a really heavy one, but this first one isn't necessarily heavy, but it makes me want to make car noises.
Yeah, I think it requires that you make car noises.
Have to.
So the first game on our list, and these are in no particular order because they span the spectrum. It's, again, light, medium, heavy. So first game is Drift from Good Games Publishing. It's going to be coming to Kickstarter in January, but they had a very, very, very far along prototype at Gen Con.
You forgot where we were.
No, I was letting you fill in something. You looked like you wanted to say something.
No.
Do you want me to take this one?
This is the game. I mean, I liked it a lot. I really enjoyed playing it, but Daniel was like, this game's so cool. So I'm going to let you take it away.
So, and we shot B-roll at this convention. So enjoy the B-roll while I talk. So Drift is a racing game, and it is like the only pure racing game that I have seen. You have stuff like Camel Up and all that that's more bidding and like rolling dice and luck-based racing. This is a skill-based tabletop racing game.
Yeah, a lot of the racing games you're bidding more than anything, I think.
So in Drift, you have your cars, and they're like little Hot Wheel cars. You're looking at them now on the screen. And then you have these different tiles that represent what gear you're in. And you have a car, you're racing around the track, and you are shifting from 1st to 5th gear. And if you've ever driven a car in a stick shift, you know the faster you're going, the less you can turn. So these tiles, at the back of them and the front of them, they have little notches, and they fit into each other. And the higher the gear is, the less kind of shifting they can do, the less movement they have. So they don't turn as far. So you are actively racing around the track, upshifting and downshifting so that you can make the turns. You want to get on the straightaway and you want to get into 5th gear as fast as you can. You can spend some points to be able to skip gears and speed shift and stuff like that. But then when you get to the turns, you want to drift because you gain points for drifting. So there's these special drifting tokens that you have to get to 2nd gear. And then you can drift. And if you drift and the token touches the side of the track, you gain points for drifting, which is tracked on a really cool speedometer map thing. It's also for a prototype.
It's very thematic.
To see this in production is going to be fantastic because the prototype was just insanely well done.
But also each round, depending on where you are in placement, the turns change.
Whoever's
so
in the lead goes first.
They go first, and that's awesome because then they'll get out of the way.
Yeah, and because of the way that it's done, it's actually on a physical track. Like it's not a
changes.
It's not, but it's also not on a hey, I'm in the space that aligns with this part of the track. You are actually on the physical track, so you can position your car to cut people off where they can't cut to the inside without spending points to go on the grass or to force them to go around you, or you can get behind them and you can drift behind them and slingshot around them.
Yeah, slingshot, that's
it is. It's a racing game. It like all of these things that you think about if any of you have actually raced things in racing, but I assume for the vast majority of you, those things that come into play in racing video games of like watching your little meter go up so that you can whip around the car and
you feel that.
You feel that because it's like, okay, I'm going really, really fast. Okay, let me try and fit this tile in. I think I can make the turn. Nope, I'm not going to be able to make the turn. I got to downshift.
Yeah, I got to downshift.
So I'm going to downshift and go, and now I have to downshift again, and you can like in your head, like hear that as you downshift into the lower gears and slow down around the turn. It was fantastic. And it is one of those games that I imagine will have multiple expansions to make the board modular, because the way it's designed, like if you change up the map, you completely change the game and the strategy. And if Allison goes first, then she can cut me off because it's actually, again, physical space on the board. It was fantastic. I'm
really
so
cool.
excited about that game.
Now, I actually grew up going to like NASCAR races and things like that. And so I got to sit in the Allison stands and things. I just thought it was really cool because their last name is Allison and I'm Allison. So I was really excited to sit in the Allison stands, but I had like all of these memories come back when we were playing this game.
What are the Allison stands?
The Allison brothers. And they have the Allison.
In actual NASCAR.
Yes.
Oh, not at the, okay.
No, we didn't call them Allison
I thought I had
stands.
missed a designer's name or something.
No,
right.
it was the Allison brothers at this race. Anyways, and so I had like all these memories of my dad teaching me like, okay, so when you're going into a turn, you let off the gas, and then when you're in the turn, you put on the gas. To, like, I like these flashbacks
going to
while
have,
we're playing this
it's
game.
going to have a lot of like ding 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 ding. Like there. It will be chock full of sound effects.
You have to do it.
It felt so thematic in a way that a racing game has never felt that thematic before. Like, it is such a unique game. I'm so excited to get my hands on, hopefully, a prototype, Kim. But just, I'm so excited to get that game, to play it with the kid. Like, I'm so
boys,
excited to
they're
get
gonna play
that
it
game to the
constantly.
table and play it with myself and with Allison and with the boys, and just, it's going to be awesome. Game 2.
That was from Good Game
That was from Good Games Publishing.
The second one is actually from Smirk and Laughter.
/ Smirk and Dagger.
Smirk and Dagger.
Yep.
And it's called Tesserect. Now, being Marvel fans, it's not the Tesserect that we think of when we first think Tesserect.
It's just a generic space cube.
It is. It's a space cube.
It's not that space cube.
That has aliens kind of like monitoring it and being like, yes, we're doing this and stuff like that. But it has reduced down to this cube size. And we now, within the last 2 weeks, it's done that. And now we have an hour.
Yes.
Start game. We have an hour as different scientists to prove that we are smart enough to crack the code of this Tesseract before the aliens say, y'all aren't smart enough, we're going to destroy you.
Yeah.
Now, it is a dice manipulation game. And so
it's beautiful.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
And
now,
this is also coming to Kickstarter.
We need to talk him into getting these specific dice because they
Yes.
really impact the game.
They were metal and they were heavy and they were apparently way too expensive to offer. But maybe if there's
gorgeous.
enough social pressure,
which I think he's
then,
already getting.
yeah.
But you're not actually rolling these dice ever. It is a dice manipulation. So they're actually, the pips on the dice are actually in these geometric shapes.
Yeah, it doesn't scream pips until he pointed out
I
that
was like,
this is a regular D6.
That's crazy.
But it's
so you have different codes that you're trying to manipulate these dice, take them off of the Tesseract, and you have, as different scientists, you have different asymmetric abilities and things like that. So it is replayable.
It's cooperative.
It is cooperative, yes.
And it's replayable because I think you're gonna randomly build the cube.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
But the cube sits on this like lazy Susan like thing, so you can turn it around. And I think that is
because you have to see all the sides of it, because you're taking dice off of the cube and you're placing them on things on your mats and trying to, again, solve different puzzles with them in order to, but
you don't want to take them off too fast because there is repercussions doing that, but yet you need to remove them fast enough so that you'll be able to crack the code and do different things and manipulate them in certain ways. That it was just like...
And bad things happen if you reduce like too far down on one side if you do it unbalanced. It just, it was like, we love cooperative games.
We do.
And just
even though we're really competitive,
the aesthetic of the game, the physical, like visual design of the game was awesome. It's
gorgeous.
And then it's been like, we've slept a few times since Gencon. And I didn't record as much of that preview as I thought I did. So I'm a little foggy on some of the gameplay, but that was one that we both walked away from that meeting of like,
that was cool.
This looks incredible. Like, this is going to be fantastic.
I've talked about it a few times since then.
Yeah.
So, okay, the last one.
But it's also one that like, approaching it's like, I would like to learn about this game, sir.
It is very visually attractive.
It was just, it was Smirk and Dagger. So we were meeting and we went over Boop.
Which we love Boop.
And it's like, Boop is incredible, but we've talked about that before.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to be available at Gencon, manufacturing stuff. I think it should be
coming out really soon.
I think if the timeline held up, it went off the line like
last
3 days
week.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Boop will be available soon.
Anyway.
Get Boop. It's amazing. But it's like, hey, we're at our press meeting for Boop, but what's that shiny one back there? I would like to hear about that game because it looks amazing.
It was like back in the back of his little area.
There was also one from Smirk and Dagger. This is not one of our top 3 because it wasn't far enough along to fully, but it was like a role-playing, an RPG party game.
It was really cool.
And I'm going to give a quick rundown of that if that's okay.
Okay, real fast.
So it's an RPG party game where you are, oh crap, I didn't think about this before I committed to going through it.
He just jumped into it.
But you have a scenario. I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher this, but it was really cool. You have a scenario. It's a party game. There's a scenario. There's a dragon going through, and you have to pick which thing you want to fight with. Like, you pick a weapon from the 2 available options. So I'm going to use the sword or the knife or something like that.
So one person is like the DM for this round, and then you're asking one person who is the person fighting.
Yeah.
So they make the choice, and then they roll.
Yeah, they roll the dice.
Behind a screen.
Yes, they roll the dice behind the screen. They're given a scenario. There's a dragon. You're fighting the dragon. They roll the dice. It's from 20 to 1, and 10 or over 10 is success. Below 10 is failure. And they have to, as an RPG, like fits in the theme, they have to describe how the battle plays out without saying what they roll. Mm-hmm. So they describe the battle, and then the other players, one player I think can ask one question.
I think the DM asks.
They can ask one.
Like, how'd it go? Or
no,
something.
They can ask what one person gets to ask a clarifying question, but then everybody else, including the person that asks a question, sets their dice behind their screen and predicts what the outcome was, and based on how accurate people were,
you get different
awards and abilities, and then the next person keeps fighting the dragon. So it goes on, but
the DM changes.
Yes, it goes to the next person.
It goes to the next person.
The roles shift, but it's not a let's be like, okay, the dragon has been injured in the last battle. You're taking it out. Here's the rest of it. But it was just a really cool idea for bringing that role-playing, like, imagination space into a party game where it's fast-moving. You get a little bit of like, okay, let me tell a story. And just, it looked really fun.
It almost had this feeling, too, of it could be like an actively moving party game. Like, you could have people sit in for a few rounds and then be like, hey, I'm going to go talk to these people, and someone else sit in. Because it wasn't dependent, at least from what I gathered, wasn't dependent on each player needing to continue their part the entire thing.
We didn't take any B-roll of that because it was all borrowed art. It was all borrowed art just to get,
really cool.
The concept was there. But we were asked to not take anything just so there wasn't any confusion, because it was just like clip art and stuff in order to fill it out enough to explain the game.
Okay, so that was
That's honorable mention number one.
Honorable mention number 1. Okay, so the final one that we have is from Chip Theory, and I do not want to butcher the name.
Would you like me
Hoplomachus.
Hoplomachus Victorum.
Hoplomachus Victorum.
Yes.
This game, I mean, I love Chip Theory games, like the chips, the presence on the table, the quality of the components,
is everything you expect.
But then, like, the playthrough of this, like, it's a solo campaign game.
But you're a gladiator.
Fantastic. You're a gladiator, and you're going through these different areas on the map. Why are you laughing at me? I'm so excited about it.
Because you almost said a bad word.
Oh, I didn't mean to.
Okay. Sorry. So it looked like you were going to say you're a freaking gladiator. But even like
I'm a fucking gladiator.
The production to the point that the chip holder for the gladiators is a marbleized plastic, like for all this stuff, is a marbleized plastic,
it's like the audience of the Coliseum.
Yes. And the lid comes off, and it can sit on the lid so that it's even higher, like this elevated. Just the level of detail in the production was fantastic.
So good. But then you have this map that you're going across as you are campaigning your way. And then each location has a whole different neoprene mat. And so you are a chosen gladiator. Thank you. That's the word I'm going for. And then you have different bosses and scenarios that you're going through. And so then you have different minions that come out with them. And what it was really cool is, so you have this pad that you're keeping up with your scores throughout your campaign. But then when you're keeping track of your health and like what you're able to do, it's all stacked underneath
and you
your
have never played Too Many Bones.
I haven't.
So you have not experienced that. It's the same battle system from Too Many Bones.
Oh, okay.
It's tracked with the health chip. That's kind of Chip Theory's thing, is the chips, but it's not done that way in Burn Cycle, which is sitting right here. That's why I'm pointing off screen.
You do have chips with the Burn Cycle, and you set things on top of them, but it wasn't your health meter wasn't tracked using the chips. So that's how it is.
And it does give you a really cool visual of like, this guy's powerful and this guy's weak, and oh crap, they're way taller than me.
Well, yeah. And so when we were showing the B-roll to the boys, and I was like, yeah, so the tall ones have the more health, and they were like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to visually see it in their perspective of how that height difference really impacts your gameplay and your choices. So it is a solo game. We played it with Devin Talks Tabletop, who's here on our Play the Game channel. So we played it as a cooperative while he was there. And so we were making choices together and rolling the dice. And sometimes you wanted the dice to roll for you. Yeah. Good. And then you also rolled for the bad guys, for the bosses. And you were like, oh, come on, I don't want to roll good this time. And sometimes it would flip-flop. It would roll really bad for you and really good for them. And
but you're tracking, really cool. It's a campaign. So you have a sheet that you're tracking stats as you go through. And as I gathered, it's like each scenario, like there's more than 3 things, but you would go through 3 different types of scenarios, and each one of those apparently takes like an hour or 2. So it's not a like 30-minute little, it's a time commitment, and one that you're going to be going on for a while. And it's there's so many different characters, so replayable. But yeah, so you have like the one that they demoed for us was King of the Hill. There was a trident that you were trying to get. That was a scenario. This different kinds of battle scenarios. So there was King of the Hill. And then we did we did the boss with the Hydra.
The Hydra. So you got the Hydra here in one area. And
on a freaking cool looking volcano.
Gosh, it was so cool looking. But every time you hit the Hydra, which you need to do, 2 heads would pop up. Yeah. So the Hydra would be going down in health, but then the heads had their own health. And you have to take out the Hydra, but then you also have to take out the heads in order to win the whole
It was really amazing to me how thematic you could get with poker chips or with chips. Because like at first it's like, okay, there's a stack of poker chips, and what happens is you hit the Hydra, the main body gets as far away as it can from you, and then the 2 heads pop up on different corners of the map. So you are now surrounded by heads. So by the end of the game, again, every time you hit it, you get more heads, and you have to be careful because some characters have a strike back ability. Mm-hmm. So if you're not paying attention and that Hydra hits one of your people,
right, you do have other people on your team.
But if they hit one of the people on your team and that person retaliates and you don't realize that they're there and they retaliate, they're going to pop up more heads and ruin your. So it's.
Okay, so I had to see myself as Hercules, and I saw like the Disney Hercules of when he's fighting the Hydra. I totally visualized it in that aspect when we were playing the game, even though it's totally not a cute cartoon. That's what I was visualizing when we were fighting the Hydra, because that was my experience with it. I'm really excited about this. I'm gonna have to set up shop if and when we get this game in our sunroom, and just be like, this game room, this table is mine for the foreseeable future until I'm done.
You have set up a goal to play more solo games, mm-hmm. So that is.
So I get to play this first.
I don't know.
I get to play this first.
So those are.
Okay, you stuck in your.
Yeah, you have an honorable mention.
I have an honorable mention. And I got to preview it while we were at Gencon, and it was fantastic. Keith walked me through it. Thunderworks Games. It is Dawn of Ulos, and I actually happen to have the prototype.
We're doing some stuff for the Kickstarter, which launches September 6th, so
it was sent to us like a week or 2 after Gen Con, and so we have played it. It's backwards. Hold on. There we go. Okay, now it's better. So Dawn of Ulos, it's the role player world of Ulos, and it is like before all of the role player stuff happened. So you've got you are gods, kind of manipulating the different variants.
It's area manipulation.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have one faction that you're going for. You're trying to build favor with different factions, help them build up their area so that they gain strength, and you get points at the end based on which factions you have favor with and where their strength is on the track. It's really
Keith
cool.
described it as you're actually, because you have this track and you're kind of like thinking of like stock. You're investing in different, because you can buy more cards. And so you're like buying stock. I mean, like, okay, I think this area is going to go into the end. And so I want more stock with there and want more favor.
And the weaker they are, the cheaper their cards are.
So
and
then you want to keep them weak
really
so you can stock up and then push more. My vocabulary has
Then
reduced.
you want to strengthen them
there
so
we
those
go.
cards are worth more.
Exactly.
So
it really matters with the cards you have in your hand depending on which factions that you have given strength.
Yeah.
So I really liked it. We've enjoyed our play. We will have much more on this game in the next week or so. But I'm just glad I had to say it because we have it here. And I just fell in love with it while we were at Gen Con. So more on that later. So that is our 5-ish.
Top three
with two
honorable mentions. It's top 3 with 2 honorable mentions. So it's turtle. Is this the...
No, the turtle is... that's the awkward turtle. I can't remember.
I don't know.
This
is how you did the Brontosaurus.
I know, and the horse was like this.
All right. So, those are our top 3 games from Gen Con. We will eventually have our vlog come out.
We need to put it together for the boys.
We need to do a full-blown Gen Con recap. We'll do that, but... Yeah,
we do have
top 3 games.
Other games that we've seen. We did do a live, so you can check that out. If you just really want to see some of our experience, we did do a live talking about all that, and we did our gender reveal on that one too.
Yeah.
Gosh, it feels like that was forever ago.
It does. It was like 2 weeks ago.
I'm almost halfway done with this pregnancy.
You are.
Whew. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. And if you have any questions, we'll drop them below. Check out our other playthroughs that we have, and just some of our other videos that we have. And we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.